This early morning, let us explore the 35th poem of the Tao Te Ching. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditates Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This morning, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Princess Leia during the training she received on Ajahn class, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. If at any point during this morning, oopsie, the microphone's way over there. If at any point during this morning's live stream you have any questions, that's weird. Where is the microphone? Oh, there it is. Whew. Okay. If at any point during this morning's live stream you have a question about meditation or philosophy or even chanting, there is no need to be shy. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of your screen. Un momento. Let's see. Fan, auto, cool, dry. Okay. Well, let's get to it. I'm going to tap button number 5 and adjust the word, and away we go. Grasp the great mirror and the world will follow in peace and abundance. Master the Tao's path of empathetic centered spontaneity, and everything else will fall into place in the most wonderful way. For music and cakes travelers will pause. Hence the Tao speaks blandly, invisibly, soundlessly, yet imparts without end. Yang can be dramatic. Yang can be forceful. Yang can be exciting, and so can the dark side. But Yin, the gentle path, is the one that leads to fulfillment. Before we head off to this morning's Reddit Q&A, I wish to subject you to a minute of housekeeping. Every 12 hours, I broadcast 1 or 2 live meditation classes without any ads, other than this. With your help, this channel could come to support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If this speaks to you and you'd like to help out, even for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month, use your smartphone's camera to capture this QR code, or simply click one of the donation links in the description area below the video. Icy Needleworker, I think it's an acupuncturist, wrote the following question. Had a great meditation session after waking up and having coffee. 2 hours later, I meditated again, and I'm not nearly as focused. So that's a really good observation. And so I'm going to share with you a paradox that could be acutely frustrating. We live in an interdependent universe, and sometimes the variables of our experience seem to be at our fingertips, and that's great. Sometimes the variable is what supplement are you taking, or how much sleep are you getting, or how much fresh air and sunshine are you getting, or is your diet whole food plant-based? And that's great. sometimes just making little adjustments can have a huge effect. We call that I forgot what we call it. Call it something, quantum something. Quantum change, whether it's a small change with a huge effect. Anyway, quantum leap. Thank you, quantum leap, which actually has to do with the orbits of electrons, but that's completely different. So, actually, I may be mistaken. It may be dealing with subatomic particles or quanta. So that's not my expertise. So I will back out slowly, like Homer Simpson, into a shrubbery. So let's get it on. Sometimes there are easy changes we can make in our life that will improve our meditation experience. And this is important. In the proto-scientific method, we take action and notice our results, understanding that different actions or different variations of the actions can create different results. And there's some empowerment in there. However, sometimes the subtle factors influencing our experience are just out of reach in terms of personal agency, or other times out of reach in terms of perception. There's something, to paraphrase Pink Floyd, everything under the sun is in tune, but the sun is eclipsed by the moon. Sometimes there's something wrong and we can see what's wrong, but we don't know what's causing it or influencing it. And that can really suck. And at that point, we can just be fatalistic and tell ourselves a story. Oh, it's because of my karma that I had a bad meditation sessions. Oh, woe is we as we beat our breast. Or we can say, well, screw this shit. I'm going home. We can throw over the checkers board and stomp back to our bedroom. That's a choice. It's then useful to remember that the controlling tendencies of yang are always trumped by the tendency of yin to be laid back. To be controlling in the name of being laid back is rather like making love in the name of virginity. It's a lovely way to spend an afternoon, but not terribly productive in terms of our stated goals. So there will be times when there's things going on and we just don't know what it is. And we have to set space for the information or the insight or the possibility to trickle up to our conscious mind in its own time. In Taoism, we read of being flexible and laid back. In Mahayana Buddhism, we read of patience. Same thing, tomato, tomato. Now, what is the mechanism that drives the engine of patience? It is not self-talk. It is not telling ourselves stories. It is not saying, oh, I choose to be patient because I'm so spiritual. No, not at all, not even a little bit. Patience is the product of mindfulness and meditation. During mindfulness's inhalation, we can notice our circumstance and our body's reaction to it and our emotions' reaction to it, and that's splendid. And during meditation's exhalation, we can physically relax and mentally release. That doesn't mean we're telling ourselves it's fine. We're just using the natural mechanisms of our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems to dance with the present moment in the most sustainable way. Persist in centered spontaneity, and in time, insights could pass through the sphere of your awareness, your consciousness, if you will. And Then, like a kitty cat poised before a mouse hole, you can pounce on those insights, apply them, and then watch enhanced, what's it called? Effects occur in your meditation. Allow me to share a story from my own life. I have the opportunity to host multiple disabilities at the same time, which means this body has very, very poor resourcefulness. Its resources are being used up. So when hay fever comes and the plants in my neighborhood treat me like an arboreal bukkake, I'm pretty much screwed, and not in a fun, tingly way. And there will be times when it feels like I'm drowning in my own mucus, because I am. And then I have to get up in the middle of the night and sit on the couch and wait till my sinuses drain. Sometimes it only takes me 3 or 4 minutes and I can return to bed. Other times it might take me 90 minutes. And that'll either cause me to fall asleep sitting upright on the couch, or I'll lose a lot of sleep. And the next day, and neuroscience confirms this, that the effects generated in the human central nervous system due to sleep deprivation are, analogous to inebriation. The other day, this happened to me, and because of hay fever, I didn't get much sleep. And the next day, I concluded, I don't know what it's like to be drunk, but I imagine it's like what I experienced this morning. What was that? Stupidity and giddiness. I couldn't make sense of most things, but I found them terribly amusing. So, better to be a happy drunk than an angry drunk. That's what I say. So, my although I did everything in my disposal to ensure a good night's sleep, and I often get a good night's sleep, there were factors out of my control. I can't control spring. I can't control the behavior of plants. I don't think I should. It's just an inconvenient circumstance with inconvenient, although temporary, results. It took me a few days to get over the sleep deprivation, but I did. In the interim, Buddhism didn't change, the Dharma didn't change, central nervous system didn't change. These things were constants. It was just my ability to effectively interface with them that experienced the variables. Fortunately, I'm at a point in my practice where I don't often feel like Chicken Little, and I do not often assume the sky is falling, and I'm able to use mindfulness and meditation to observe and release and dance with the Dharmakaya. Clearly, I'm not that special. Anyone can do what I do if they have the tools that I have, and I happily share them with you for free. I'd like to move on to this morning's practice text, but before I do, I wish to remind you that if you feel I've earned it, to please type something in the chat window, give this live stream a thumbs up, and share it on social media. Welcome to the latest iteration of Kind Gaze's Easy Tantra. I think I already did that, so let's move here. Let's begin with right view and right. Let's begin with oh, here's an opportunity. All right. Let's begin with this morning's preliminary practice, wherein we will train the neural pathways responsible for both empathy and enthusiasm by chanting the recitations of bodhicitta and refuge. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. We turn now to mantra meditation, beginning, of course, with a review of the mantra's meaning. Let's chant together. Om, I invoke the wish-fulfilling Mani jewel of love and the purifying Pemi lotus of letting go, supplicating with whom may love and letting go be mastered by all. This should be obvious that the Mani jewel is a metaphor of love, and the Pemi lotus is a metaphor of letting go. You might say, hey, figures of speech can be clunky and confusing. Yes, they can. Then why do we work with them? Because vertebrates on this planet evolved to think symbolically. Our distant ancestors first perceived, and then based on those perceptions, they recalled or they imagined. That is the neurological groundwork upon which, in the future, some would have developed the ability to cognate in a sophisticated manner and compose an iambic pentameter, but that's completely different. Let's take a moment to consider this, the photograph of this bronze before us. Known in Sanskrit as Avalokiteshvara, which translates into English as he who notices the world's sorrows. Also known in Tibetan as Chenre Zig, which translates in English as either kind eyes or kind gaze. The iconography of this yidam, or archetype of enlightenment, functions to organize the 8 figures of speech necessary for deep, transformative mantra meditation. And there you go. We do not treat this as a god or a goddess or as a great or a quasi-celestial, real or imagined mommy or daddy, but as an archetype to organize our metaphors and similes. Let's continue. We turn now to love and letting go, also known as creation stage or generation stage tantra. We're going to start with love, which will help us to leapfrog over $6 Million Man style, help us to leapfrog over our competitive tendencies. Together, let's chant. May all minds of all beings now be as peaceful and wise as our Buddha's mind, symbolized by a one syllable mantra known as a Zero Bija mantra. Now, what's the key to really making the most of mantra meditation? To use the inhalation as a time to mentally recite either a loving intention or a rhetorical question, and while chanting the mantra to physically relax as best one can. Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum. May all relationships of all beings now be as joyful and loving as a Buddha's communication symbolized by the six-syllable mantra. Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung. Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung. Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung. Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung. May all bodies of all beings now enjoy the beautiful health depicted in Buddhist thought of the blissful body of a yidam of lore and archetype of enlightenment. Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung. Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung. Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung. Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung. May all circumstances of all beings now be as safe and fortunate as a Buddha's paradise, pure land of Ati of Lord. Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung. Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung. Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung. Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung. We're going to shift gears now. On second thought, no we're not. I'm going to do a quick edit because why should today be different from any other day? On second thought, no. Okay, we now shift gears from love to letting go, which could help us to leapfrog over our clinging tendencies. How is it that as we inhale, our circumstances could appear quite vivid? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable as a cloudless sky or a vati of light. Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung, Om mani me Hung. So, those who are prone to being rigid and controlling will look at the tantras and promptly begin to concentrate and visualize. Whereas those who choose to be flexible and laid back will read the tantras and view them as metaphors, convert them to similes, and begin contemplating. I'm reminded of one of the late tutors of the 14th Dalai Lama. The tutor's name was Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, the former head of the Nyingma lineage. And he said, Tantra is based on sutra with which it must never contradict. And from that perspective, in sutra, the Buddha was often bringing the four bases of mindfulness into the path of contemplation. And so the first two folds of the Eightfold Path pertain to the wisdom of letting go and love. The two bodhicittas of the Mahayana refer to love and the wisdom of letting go. It is therefore not a leap of logic to say that, the metaphors of Tantra are more likely, are the dynamic teachings of Tantra are more likely metaphors to be used for the contemplation of love and letting go than they are commands for visualizations. Let's continue. Omani me me yung 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 omani me me yung. So I'm reminded of a song from the 70s. I'm not sure who it's by. I'm not going to sing it. But a line goes, and I'm going to paraphrase it, because I was a little boy when I heard it. Do you like the places that you're going to? Do you like the things that life is showing you? Do you know? Do you care? One of the beautiful things about being a human in this country and this time is that our fates are not set in stone. We can make mistakes for decades, have a moment of clarity, pivot, and go in a different direction. How is it that as we inhale, our bodies could feel quite sensual? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void or a yedom of light. Omani me me yung, omani me me yung, omani me me yung, omani me me yung. Omani me me yung, omani me me yung, omani me me yung, omani me me yung. I think it was 2002. I received the pointing out instructions from Baka Toku Rinpoche. And after kvetching that I had studied Madhyamaka, I still didn't know how to viscerally experience emptiness in a sustainable manner. He taught me the magic of relaxing. That was echoed by other lamas and even a Theravadan Bante. Omani me me yung, omani me me yung, omani me me yung, omani me me yung. Omani me me yung, omani me me yung, omani me me yung, omani me me yung. How is it that as we inhale, the interpersonal experience of communication could be quite resounding? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it could feel as non-graspable as a cloudless sky or a mantra of light. Omani mimi umani mimi umani mimi umani mimi hun. Omani mimi umani mimi umani mimi umani mimi hun. About 7 or 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, I found myself in a really abusive relationship. And during the midnight haranguings I would receive, I would practice the silent version of this contemplation. How speech heard yet void like mantra. And it really helped me to experience greater patience. Omani mimi omani mimi omani mimi omani mimi hun. Omani mimi omani mimi omani mimi omani mimi hun. Oops, wrong button. How is it that as we inhale, all mind's functions could seem quite clear? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void or a bija of light. Now, what do we mean by mind's functions? Well, we're talking about mind can perceive. Mind can perceive sights, sounds, scents, flavors, sensations. Mind can also emote, intend, reason, recall, and imagine. Omani mimi umani mimi umani mimi umani mimi hun. Omani mimi umani mimi umani mimi umani mimi hun. But what do we mean by clear? That's just a comment of. That's just a way of explaining perception. Perception could be as opaque as muddy water, or our perception can be as lucid as water wherein the particles have settled, rendering the fluid clear. Omani mimi omani mimi omani mimi omani mimi hun. Omani mimi omani mimi omani mimi omani mimi hun. We switch gears now to four silent contemplations, whereby we're going to explore the dance of impermanence and interdependence. This fits under the heading of bliss and letting go, or completion stage. We're going to begin by turning our attention towards our circumstance. We're going to use the verb melt as a metaphor of impermanence to help us to leapfrog our pole vault over our clinging tendencies. We're going to use the inference of absorption as a metaphor of interdependence to help us to leapfrog over our competitive tendencies. During our inhalation, now this is a rhetorical question. During our inhalation, we will silently and mentally recite how lots melt. During our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite into form. We're now going to shift gears from the circumstantial to the physical. Again, we are going to shift gears from the physical to the interpersonal. Finally, we shift gears from the mental. We shift gears from the interpersonal to the mental. In Hayasya there are many single-syllable mantras known as bijas or seed mantras. In the commentary to this practice, dictated by the late Tibetan saint Gyatso, this is the bija used. We're now going to during our in-breath, we're going to feel the play of sensation as we mentally recite feeling this. And then we're going to relax into its non-graspable nature by mentally reciting relaxing as we breathe out. Now, there seems to be some weird going on with the formatting. So I'm going to, quick like a bunny, do an edit. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Haha. We do not have to be a master of channels, winds, and drops to play with this exercise. As long as you can mentally recite feeling this and relaxing and coordinate that with your inhalation and exhalation, you will make progress on the path. And yes, this mental recitation is ideal for the practice of sexual congress. When giving or receiving or sharing whatever sexual favors you and your partner desire. Thereby, we use sensuality not as an impediment to practice, but to facilitate it. Please do not make the mistake I did. For many years I was enamored with contemplation, but I had little use for meditation. It took me a long time to not only intellectually understand, but viscerally realize that just as a bird requires both wings to take to the skies, likewise we need both contemplation and meditation to fully realize and master the Buddha's path. I'd like to revisit the question I attempted to answer from Reddit. Fatigue also influences our experience of meditation. Just as the body requires rest, so does the mind. So, what some people do is create at least a 2 or 3 hour gap between meditation sessions. Unless they're into oh, what's that fancy word when you try to beat yourself up and cause yourself suffering in the name of spirituality? Asceticism, yes. There are people who spend thousands of dollars to attend a retreat where they will be physically and emotionally abused, thinking it makes them rather spiritual. All it does is help their wallet to lose weight. Just as Aesop warned of wolves in sheep's clothing, it is not uncommon to find metaphoric demons masquerading as monks. Therefore, do not evaluate a would-be spiritual advisor based upon their haircut and garments, but upon their kindness and wisdom. We shift gears from silent contemplation to silent meditation and practice the awareness and letting go, which not only serve as an antidote to clinging and help us to slice through the duality of dread and desire, but which is also known as great completion stage. And yet, despite the lofty terms, it is remarkably easy. As we breathe in, we mentally recite, "Notice this." And as we breathe out, we, mentally recite, "Relaxing." Now, be aware, this is going to be extremely subtle, and you might find yourself falling asleep. When you do, sit up tall and breathe enthusiastically. So we do not select what we notice. We allow ourselves to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Welcome to the live stream. When you have questions about meditation or philosophy, type them in great detail in the chat window. Let's seal our meditation by contemplating love. Let us bring the interpersonal into the path of love. Let us bring the physical into the path of love. Let us bring the circumstantial into the path of love. Having sealed meditation, let's seal the entirety of the practice with 4 loving chants. May I, like kind gaze, master the Eightfold Path as well as liberate others. Let us now turn our attention, having worked with liberation and the Eightfold Path, let us turn our attention to ethics and kindness. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness, flow spontaneous and uncontrived. Let us now chant, perform the chant of impermanence, zeal, and love. May each being take auspicious rebirth, master the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. And let us conclude with the 4 immeasurables. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy, may no one be separated from the happiness, may everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging free.